So today, let's talk about a capture mission. Sort of. Yeah, even I don't think that general capture missions need to be talked about. I mean, I may be the dude who spent over 6 minutes talking about excavation missions and some of the weird mechanics related to Limbo there, but even I do have some limits. That said, there is one specific variant of this normally trivial mission type that does deserve a quick video to highlight a few interesting points about it in Limbo: Orokin Derelict Capture. You see, Limbo can be a very good hunter of corrupted mods. In fact, he might just be the best overall frame in the game for that purpose, thanks to being both hilariously cheap to build for this and effectively invulnerable. So, that's why I want to make this video, to give a quick guide to vault hunting with the Rift Magician and why you'd want to do it. Oh, and before we begin, let me make something clear. While I do keep saying capture, you can do a variant of this to an extent on any of the Orokin Derelict missions except for Defense and Assassinate. Capture is by far the fastest and easiest, with vault runs usually lasting between 1.5 to 5 minutes, but if you really want to use something like Sabotage or Survival for this, you are free to do so. Now, before we actually start the mission, we need to talk about what you have to have equipped to do this, and well, it's basically just Limbo, the 4 Dragon Keys, and of course an Orokin Derelict Capture Key. You will also need either a very hard-hitting weapon or a solid operator amp to nuke down the target with. Since your operator is not affected in any way by any of the keys and the captured target has basically no armor, amps are actually fairly competitive here, and while something like the Tigris Prime or a sniper rifle will be able to kill them faster if well built, amps are perfectly capable of getting the job done and in a reasonable amount of time. And as for mods, there's only 2 that need to be talked about, and they are both completely optional. The first is Rolling Guard, which can be useful for those using their guns on the target, as the invulnerability isn't affected by keys, and the other is just some kind of bullet jump enhancing mod like Lightning Dash or whatever. Unlike sprinting, bullet jumping is not weakened by the Hobbled Dragon Key, which means that enhancing jump speed is the best way to improve mobility. And that's all the gear that really needs to be talked about. Limbo's basic abilities are all you actually require here, and things like duration and range aren't going to be a huge advantage. The only things that you actually have to have for what I'm going to be talking about here is just Riftwalk, as well as the ability to cast at least the basic duration forms of both Banish and Stasis. Increasing your various stats can, of course, help in minor ways, but they aren't in any way required. Now, as for the actual strategy for this mission, it's basically just go into the Rift and bullet jump everywhere. There's nothing in this map that can damage or slow you while you're rift walking, you don't have any energy cost to worry about, and the only thing that can pull you out of the rift is the nullifier capture target, who is relatively easy to deal with. So once you load in, just start looking around for vault doors and slowly work your way towards the capture target. Once you run into him, get near him, and then either go out of the rift and blast him with a good weapon, or do the safer strategy and swap to your operator and blast him with your amp. Since Limbo can just stand in the rift near the target and work as sort of an operator carrier, you can just repeatedly blast him with your amp and maybe occasionally swap back to Limbo to keep your operator's spawn point near him. And if he happens to kill your child, no big deal, just resummon him. And yeah, as long as your gun or amp's decent, this shouldn't take more than a few hits, and then you can just make sure to send Limbo to the rift and capture him from that plane without needing to worry about being attacked by anything else on the level. And once you've done that, you're 100% free to search the map for Kavots and vaults. As I said before, you cannot be harmed by anything on this map. Even after you open up the vault and the corrupted spawn in, they don't seem to bring in nullifiers, so as long as you stick to the rift, they still can't harm you at all, and you're perfectly safe until you get to the exit. And yeah, that's the first of Limbo's 3 big advantages here. Thanks to his passive, he has what's effectively complete invulnerability for as long as he wants without any energy costs, and so can poke around for as long as he needs without any issues whatsoever. As for the second point, it's just that he can also easily set up any Kavotzi encounters for safe and painless scanning. By simply casting Stasis and then either banishing or dropping a Cataclysm on him, he can paralyze the Space Kitties, shield them from nearby enemies, and set them up perfectly for him to scan. Of course, this won't help with the fact that the chance of actually getting a genetic code is only 15% and cannot be increased by anything other than Samaris' double scan augment, but it's still a nice perk for anyone who's not gotten their hands on both types of Kavots. As for the final advantage that Limbo has, it's just that unlike a lot of frames, Limbo doesn't actually require any mods to do what he needs to do here. While they can help, as long as you've got your operator form and an amp, you've got all you need to capture the target, ignore all enemies for as long as you need, and safely scan any Kavots you run into. There are no gear requirements beyond just basic Limbo and an amp, and I can't even say you need a particularly good one to do this. While I do not suggest you subject yourself to this horror, if you absolutely feel the need, you can kill the capture target with the mode amp as long as you can keep juggling in and out of operator form well enough to keep in sight of his shield. So yeah, Lumbo can run solo vault runs without any mods, he can't be harmed or slowed by any of the enemies here, and he can easily grab and scan any Kavads he runs across. The closest thing to a drawback he's got for this is that he doesn't have any movement enhancing abilities, but you can always just supplement that with the Operator Dash's bullet jumping and mobility mods, and since he can do all of this at such low gear requirements, he's the perfect choice for newer players who don't want to have to trade to get their hands on important mods like Narrow-Minded, Overextended, or Heavy Caliber. So whether you're a newer player looking to collect some important gear, or you're an experienced one who's just looking for some rare mods to sell for plat, consider taking the Rift Magician with you the next time you head to the Orokin Derelict. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you learned anything, leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you later. Farewell.